Hello all, the next continuation of this would be returning an object. So we can return any primitive data types. So similarly, we can return objects also. A method can return any type of data including objects. This means that the method will send back a reference to an object and the caller can then use that object. So returning an object in Java allows for flexible and reusable code. Here we have a class sample and a variable, and this is a default constructor. We have not passed any arguments inside it. I have directly assigned the value 20 to it, and this is the method name. I haven't given return type yet, and it is no parameter. It has no parameter. In previous example, we have seen object as parameter. Here I am going to make it as an empty parenthesis, no parameters or passed here. Inside we have done something. Let us see that later. And come to this part, public static void main of string args. I have created an object for this. So when this line is executed, when the object is created, the constructor will be called. So this is the first line, execution line. This is the first statement, and second main, while creating this, the default constructor is called, and the obj1 has a variable a, and the value is initialized as 20, and it is having method inc. This inc can directly access it. So object.a I can write, object.inc I can write. Okay. So I am going to call object1.inc. So object1.inc means this method will be invoked. What we have done inside this method, so inside the method we have created a new object for this class, and a plus 10. So inc can directly access a has a value 20, so 20 plus 10, that is 30. Again it is stored in object. So now the a value is 30 and we are returning an object. When we write return 0, we will write it as int, right? So as I am returning an object, I have to give the class name here. Okay, so void display means it returns nothing. We will not return any statements. So double volume, this function you may aware of it. So double volume means we'll return double height into width into depth, so and so. So that double width height, width height and depth would be of double data type, so it would be double. So if you are returning any integer value, you write a return type as int. So based on the returning value, we will write the return type in the function, right? So return obj2 is given. Obj2 is of data type not integer or float or double, it is of class. So I am going to give the class name here. So on returning, the value will be given to the caller, and I am storing it in a value. So if you write int add of int x comma int y, it will return the value, right? So return x plus y. So while calling the function, you have to store it in some variable, then only you can print the result, correct? So we have to store the value belong to the data type of the return type, right? Return x plus y, which is returning the int. Again I have to store the value in the int variable. So here I am returning an object, so I have to store it in the class object. Now obj3 has a value 30, so it is printed here. So returning an object as for an example of addition of two complex number. So see here, I have two variable, real and imaginary, and I have parameterized constructor as well as non-parameterized constructor. This is the default one, this is parameterized one. So here we have created two objects, complex C1, real value is 5, imaginary value is 5. Complex C2 object is having real value 10 and imaginary value 5. I am creating an empty constructor or empty object. Let us see why this is needed. I'm calling this I'm calling this add of function and passing both the object as argument. In previous example, we have added like this, C1 dot add of C2. Now I'm going to pass both the objects, so C1 and C2. So I need a separate object to call the function. So complex C3 equal to new complex of. So when you write this, you need a default constructor. That's why I have created an empty default constructor. Now C3 dot add of having two objects. So I'm creating two parameters here. So complex C1 comma complex C2. C1 dot real will add C1 dot real plus C2 dot real will add 5 plus 10. C1 dot real is 5, C2 dot real is 10. So the value is 15 now. It is stored in new object result dot real. And here also we will call the default constructor. Now C1 dot imaginary plus C2 dot imaginary. C1 dot imaginary is 5. C2 dot imaginary is 5. The value is 10. Again it is stored in new object RES. So now RES is an object. It has a real value 15 and the imaginary value 10. I am going to return this object to the caller 1. So this result RES is returned and stored in a new variable R. So whatever stored in the RES is now assigned in an R. Both RES and R share the same value. Now R dot real prints 15, R dot imaginary prints the value 10. So yes, this is somewhat tricky, but the same object is return type concept only. So see here, this is the first line of execution, and calculator object name is again a calculator equal to new calculator of. It is a parameterized constructor. Look for a parameterized constructor. Yes, there is a parameterized constructor. So this value 10 is stored here and the 10 is passed in the variable. Now the result has a value 10. The next line would be, see this part alone, calculator dot add of 5. Look for the method add. Yes, it is having add method and one value, one parameter, that is 5. This 5 is passed here. Now check this dot result. This is used to refer to the current object, right? So this we already know. Used to refer current object. This is very important. Okay. So this dot real plus equal to this dot value. So this dot real equal to this dot result plus value. The value is 5. Already this dot result is having the value 10. So 10 plus 5, the result would be 15. So this dot result is stored with the value 15. We are returning this. This means current object, right? So return, what is return next to the return? It is this. So the return type is calculator. If you return 0, then it would be int. If you return an object, then it would be the class name. So what the value will be returned here? 15. 15 is returned. Now, object is returned. Okay, we have returned an object. So object dot subtract of 3. Object dot subtract of 3. The value 3 is stored. So this dot result already having 15 minus 3. This dot result will be stored as a value of 12. Again, I am returning an object. So object would be returned. We haven't given any name, but the object would be returned. So object dot result will be the variable access. So the final result would be 12. So instead of explicitly creating an object, in this previous case what we have done, we have explicitly created an object and we have stored the value in an object and we have returned it. So here we haven't created explicitly. If you want to create an explicitly, this would be like this. Let me write that too if you are confused. So int value, so calculator. Okay, my class name is calculator. I am going to create an object equal to new calculator of. So I am going to store the result object dot is equal to, and the local variable or instance variable both will be considered. And now I can now I can return the object. Okay, instead of explicitly creating an object, I can directly return the statement here. That's what about returning an object.